Salutations YouTube community, this is the Average Johnny coming back to you with a brand new countdown list, and today I will be bringing you the first list of 2021, so a happy late new year to all of you. Whenever we hop into the Simpsons hit and run, one of the first things that will catch our attention will always be the starter cars that we are given at the very beginning of the levels. Some of these cars can get the job done throughout the missions, others make us want to take it to a junkyard and just leave it where it belongs. Some are even good enough to use throughout an entire level, so that's why I am here today, as we will be discussing every starter car from the Simpsons hit and run from worst to best. And let's not forget to mention that quick little note, I will not be ranking these based on speed, just because I would make this list far too obvious and easy, but I will rank it based on how well they perform on the level that they were placed in and how often they can be used. So let's get on with the list. The worst car on the list will have to be the Honor Roller. Okay, I'll be the first to say that I am pretty damn sad that I had to rank this one so low, but I cannot name another starter vehicle that gave me as many problems as this one. So to start off, I like the irony that Bart will be driving a car that references the term honor roll, since we know Bart would be nowhere near that category. But after all that, we have a car that, while it can be used in this level for story missions, it is slow. Now, some of you will be like, well, I didn't think it was that slow and I completed missions with this car. I mean, yes, for missions it's doable, but try racing against Lisa in this car. You get that feeling that the car wants to speed up and you're almost there, but it just never reaches that point, and then you realize that the car just cannot keep up. Sure, we can use the argument that all levels force you to race the car from the next level, so in a way you can kind of cancel out that argument, but these were just some of the most frustrating things for me, and I just felt like it was more noticeable in these races specifically. And it's even worse when you realize that an NPC car is actually better than the Honor Roller itself. An NPC car, if you don't know what that means, those are the pedestrian cars that you see roaming around. Like, that just really blows my mind. And the second biggest thing is that I always felt like the needle-shaped front end of this car would basically make it more clumsy and would cause all these crashes and just made it more irritating as time went by. I don't have many fond memories with this car, and I know I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this, but my opinion stands. For me, this car was just the worst starter car in the game. So kind of keeping things on the lower end side will be the Canyonero from level 4. I wasn't exactly sure which one I wanted to take the worst spot, but I have to say the Canyonero does have a few redeeming factors to it that saves it from being the worst on the list. Now I'm just going to kind of start off with what I really didn't like. The worst thing I really hated about it is that it is freaking clumsy. If you make any sharp turns, you are guaranteed that this car will tip over, and during time missions this is a huge time waster and you do not want this happening, and it just eventually becomes irritating. It's like someone thought, what if we just used bicycle tires on an SUV to save money on rubber and just sold it out to the community? This is basically the result that you would get. This factor alone just gave me a lot of issues using this car, but I do have to say that the vehicle was useful throughout your storyline missions, and it had a decent speed and it could actually destroy vehicles as well, so it's a pretty good amount of usefulness, but for the most part, I always found myself using other cars over the Canyonero in level 4. So that is where it places on the list. And coming on next into the list will be the Longhorn from level 5. This one I can't really say much good or much bad either. It's a decent vehicle that can be used throughout the missions in level 5. However, there are other cars that basically outshine this one and will most likely steer you away from using this in the long run. You have the police car, the car built for Homer, El Carro Loco, and the hover car as great alternatives, and most of the time they're just much better options. It can be used throughout the entire level, but then there's a number of missions where you actually are basically forced to use a different vehicle, so using it for all your missions is out of your control, but it is still good nonetheless to use for, of course, any other tasks or even the street races as well. So a very decent car, and I think it deserves a good amount of praise. Next on the list will actually be one of my personal favorites, the 70s sports car. This is actually a fantastic vehicle that once again gets overshadowed by the use of other vehicles for the storyline missions in the level, and it kind of gets overshadowed for me for the fact that level 7 just was kind of underwhelming overall. This car is incredible and very useful to have throughout some of the missions and street races, of course. However, its limited time on the level can't put it any higher on the list. Since it is kind of on the same category and situation as the Longhorn, I'll make speed a deciding factor just this one time. And a second thing, even though we can say that this car is overshadowed by other vehicles at level 7, I feel like it's still more reliable than fragile cars like the open wheel race car, zombie car, and clumsy cars like the hover bike. The Farini, one of my personal favorite cars in the entire game, yet it will not be number 1. I like many things about the Farini. It's very reliable, durable, and easy to control. On top of that, I always enjoyed the color and design of the vehicle. I recall being able to use this for a number of missions and street races. even used it on level 7, I have to tell you that as well. When it comes to being destroyed, it can actually take quite a hit before showing serious damage, and for some reason I feel like I drive really smooth whenever I'm driving this thing. I don't see myself getting into many crashes. While there are some other vehicles that can shove this one aside, the Farini proves to be very reliable and doesn't really give you much reason to look for other replacements from the very beginning, so I have to give her credit for that. The family sedan. What else is there to say about the family sedan? It's an iconic vehicle from the Simpsons show, even though it is slightly modified without a roof for the game. It is the first car that you are introduced to, and from the very beginning will get the job done till the end of the level. The only vehicle with slightly better speed would be the Electrus, but majority of the time there is no need to look for a different car, so it doesn't really get overshadowed by forged vehicles in the missions. I always have fond memories of using the family sedan, and it's awesome to see that it can help you get through the entire missions and street races, of course, in level 1, and the bonus mission, of course. A good way to start off a memorable game, and I just feel like the family sedan is just one of the best starter cars in the whole game overall. And the best starter car for me will have to be level 3, the Malibu Stacy car. I give Lisa so much flack due to her annoying nature in the game and repetitive quotes like "don't even get me started on fishy deals," but I gotta give it to her. The Malibu Stacy car does an exceptional job throughout all of level 3. Also take note that this is the fastest car available in this stage, so I don't know if that's because the cars offered at level 3 were just that bad, or if the starter vehicle was just that good. Nonetheless, I really enjoyed using this car in level 3, just like how smooth it was and how well it controlled. Just for the record, this car is actually faster than Marge's Canyonero from a level later in the game, so that does kind of give it a better edge as well, but that's just kind of a side note thing. But of course, no car is without its flaws. When it comes to the street races against Marge, it is pure hell, and you have to be a decent driver to even have a chance at winning the races. However, I believe that the programming is kind of to blame for that, and the car really has no control over it, so I can't really deduct points for those circumstances. To sum up, it's a very reliable and basically carries you through all of level 3, except for the missions where you're required to destroy, of course. Nonetheless, I feel like this just might be the one time I'll praise Lisa in this game. So those were the starter cars from worst to best. I already know that many of you are going to have so many disagreements. I'm constantly getting, comments of people giving me feedback, which I totally appreciate. However, do let me know what your guys' ranking would be down below in the comments. Let me know what you guys thought of the video, and I'm just really glad to be back with a brand new video after such a long time. And hopefully I'll be whipping out more content as time goes by. Hopefully we'll have a sweet 2021. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. Hope you're all staying healthy, and I'll be seeing you guys in the very next one.